Hi, I'm making this video about ileostomy bags because I had one and not a lot of people know what an ileostomy bag is, and a lot of times people have to have them for certain medical reasons, and you don't really know much about them beforehand, and I certainly didn't, so I thought this might be helpful for some people. So first off, what is an ileostomy? An ileostomy is a bag that attaches to your stomach. And I know that sounds very vague, but let me get into it in just a second. There's 3 different types of ostomy bags, and there's different reasons why people would need them. So in terms of why I needed mine, most of you know, I had colorectal cancer. So that meant I had 12 rounds of chemotherapy, and then I also had radiation, and then I had my rectum removed entirely. So I had my rectum removed, and they created what's called a J pouch, which looks like a J, and it uses a part of your small intestines to basically create a new rectum, because the poop has to sit somewhere before you're ready to get rid of it. So while my body was healing from that surgery, my surgeon created what's called an ileostomy. And I'm gonna link a video that I found really helpful that I just found like last week, describing what an ileostomy is. So that'll be at the end of this video if you want to click and see that. So what an ileostomy is, they take a piece of your small intestines and basically go through your abdominal wall, and they make what looks like kind of like a little button, an outie belly button almost. That's kind of not exactly what it looks like, but for our purposes, I think that'll help you kind of figure out what it looks like. So they take your intestines and they roll it over kind of like a sock, you know, when you're rolling a sock, and it's a piece of your small intestines, the sticking of your stomach. So you're basically pooping out of your stomach. So your small intestines is not like a sphincter. You can't control when you're gonna poop. So your small intestines is just like expelling constantly. So there's no way to control it. So you have a bag in place to catch the waste. So I didn't know what an ileostomy was, like I said, and I really was not expecting to have this bag because I was told that I wouldn't need a bag. Some people have permanent bags, some people just need them temporarily. So my surgeon told me that I would not have to have a bag, but I did not realize what he meant was I wouldn't have to have a permanent bag. So I had a bag for 9 weeks, and that was a little bit on the shorter end. Most people, many people I should say, have a bag for about 6 months. But again, I had mine for just now 9 weeks. And that was interesting, just finding out what an ileostomy was. I wasn't really prepared to find out. I went into my consultation with my surgeon about, the surgery, and I met with an ostomy nurse, and they made me like sit up, sit down, watch me like kind of like do like, I guess, like a crunches, or sit up, to see the way my body moves naturally, so they would know where in terms of like the placement of the bag. And then they gave me, it was like basically a temporary tattoo, and they marked where the surgery was going to be. So that happened, and I still, even during that consultation, still did not really know what an actual ostomy or the ileostomy was. They showed me a little plastic model of a stoma that's the stoma is the part of your small intestines that sticks out. So they showed me a plastic model. So I thought, like, I think part of it was me in denial that I needed this. I thought it was gonna be like a little plastic plug that you kind of like is like a faucet or something that you like turn off and on or something. But no, I didn't realize until after I started like looking on the internet that no, is actually a part of my small intestines. So that was horrifying to me. It was really scary, and I just didn't really, like I said, I didn't really know what to expect. So when I woke up from surgery, and I'm not going to talk about the specifics of surgery for time's sake, but I woke up from the surgery, and I had to have someone had to come into my room in the hospital while I was still there and show me how to empty the bag, and then actually change the bag itself. And when I saw that, it was just it's really disconcerting. I mean, you're seeing a internal organ on the the exterior now, and it's just shocking, and it was really upsetting. But then after I kind of got over the initial shock, I was like, wow, like how many people get a chance to actually see the inside of the body, so in a way it was like I was like, oh, like horrified, but then also really curious, because it's like, wow, this is a part of my small intestines. And you can, when you see the small intestines, you can see like moving, which is, I don't know, it was really fascinating, and also really I was equal parts fascinated and repulsed by it, I guess. But it gets normalized, you get used to it. The hardest part about having the ileostomy is the bag, changing the bag. There's a big learning curve, and I'm not gonna, this is more of a general video, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but the bag leaks when you change the bag. It's definitely, if you need one of these, definitely get in touch with your ostomy nurse and have them really go over, before you leave the hospital, have them really go over changing the bag with you. And I knew how to change the bag and had met with them, and I did an okay job. But then you find that the bags just leak, and that happens. The more I researched it, that's just inevitable. You're gonna have a bag leak, and it can be really embarrassing and really upsetting. One night I woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m, and my bag leaked to the point like I had to strip the sheets down, I had to take a shower, like, and I was just like in the shower like crying, like, why me? I had to I think it took 2 or 3 times of putting a new bag on to figure out what the hell I was doing wrong, using too much product, using too much powder. And then after that I met with an ostomy nurse, and she's like, oh, this is why you're having these problems. You're using too much of the powder to try to put the bag on. I was like, oh, wow. It's just like you're not getting good enough seal in the bag with your skin. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. But you don't realize it, and it's really upsetting, and it's not you. I was like, I'm a grown-ass, college-educated woman. Why can't I figure this shit out, literally and figuratively? And yeah, it's just a difficult thing to try to navigate. Another thing that takes some time with navigating is the way your clothes fit. I had read about men with pants, and they have a belt, and their bag is like placed right where your bag, like where the belt is, and it's just really uncomfortable. And so I bought, prior to getting the bag, I did a little bit of research, and I bought some loose flowy dresses, not only to accommodate the bag, but just something to wear after surgery, so I didn't have something sitting on my abdomen. Because the surgery it's a pretty major surgery, and I was super sore and really swollen. I couldn't fit into my pants, and things that fit like a week ago I couldn't fit into then. And then once the swelling went down, just because of the bag, that you have, I would have to go up a size in pants, so I couldn't wear pants for 9 weeks. So I bought loose flowy dresses, and that made me feel a lot better, having something that wasn't so constricting. Also, buying something, I forget the name of it. It's called pouchwear. It's basically like a belly band. Sometimes it's kind of an adaptation on some belly bands that pregnant women wear. But it was a band, and I'll link it in case anyone's interested. And I've told several people that I know with ostomies about this product, and they really bought it, and they said they really liked it. But it just takes, there's a pouch, like a pocket in the inside that you put the bag, and I liked it because it helps conceal the bag. It also, I had only clear bags because I was using just samples from the hospital the whole time, so you don't, like, the samples, you can see the poop inside the bag, which is, pretty gross. So I would wear it. It just made me feel a little bit better, just to not have to look at that all the time. Also, another thing is, I didn't like, this is going to be a lot of TMI, but whatever. The bag, it's, you're feeling like, it feels warm, when the poop is in there, it's warm. So I really did not like that feeling against my skin. So that separates, gives it a layer between you, like, your skin, so you wouldn't have to feel that. So yeah, changing the bag, like I said, was always nerve-wracking for me. You have to change them once every 3 to 7 days. I would try to get like 6 days out of the bags, because they just tend to get worn out. And you just learn to live with it. And by the time I got used to my bag, I was, taking it off. But it just poses some challenges in life, and it really makes you realize how much you take for granted, just your own plumbing, and just really makes you appreciate kind of what other people have to go through. After having to deal with an ileostomy for that length of time, I used to before get so aggravated when I'd be in like a public place and someone's taking a really long time in the bathroom, and long bathroom lines, and they're like, man, what's that person's deal? And now I realize, oh my God, you never know what someone's dealing with just by looking at them, because no one have ever known I had a bag, unless I told them, and still they wouldn't know. So that's one good thing about having an ileostomy is, no one's gonna know that you have it, which is having something like that's an invisible. It's a blessing and a curse, because you don't want people to know, and you want to just present as normal as possible. But then also, you're dealing with this extra nuisance, I should say. It's life-saving for a lot of people, but it's just a hassle. And you want to you don't want to be embarrassed about it, but then you also want to not to publicize that you're going through this, but you also want, I don't know, it's hard to maybe put into words that you want to have some sympathy or empathy from people sometimes, hey, I'm going through this, but you don't want to display it. Whereas for example, my husband broke his elbow pretty bad, so he was in a cast in a sling for a couple weeks, and people were like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through that, but for me, I was going through something, that was equally as bad, but I don't get that sympathy. And sometimes you just want to someone, sometimes you want that, and sometimes you absolutely do not want sympathy. People who are going through cancer or similar things will know what I'm talking about. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. But if you guys have any other comments or questions about ileostomies, certainly feel free to send me a message. Okay, bye.